Dozens of foreign leaders have arrived in Kyiv today to mark 3 years since Russia launched its full-scale military invasion of Ukraine. And it comes as Moscow sent a record number of drone attacks into Ukraine over the weekend. Yesterday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said he's willing to step down in exchange for peace and NATO membership for his country. I want to bring in Michael Bosicki now. He's a global affairs analyst and senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. As you may see on your screen there, he joins us from Odessa in Ukraine. And it's wonderful to have you speak to us on this important topic today. As we just mentioned, Zelenskyy said he'd step down in exchange for peace and NATO membership. What do you make of that offer?
Good to be with you, Errol. Well, it was the headline of the day, of course, yesterday, but people I've talked to here, few actually believe it, because I think a lot of people here have sadly written off NATO membership for Ukraine. The Russians won't have it. I don't even know if weakness is the term I can use, but weakness in the Trump administration for this to happen. So in a way, to me, it was a throwaway line. But Zelenskyy also, interestingly, said that when asked about his relationship with Donald Trump, said, well, you know, it's kind of never been better, but neither leader has the right to sever the strategic partnership that the U.S. and Ukraine have. I don't know if that was goading Mr. Trump, but we'll see if he responds to it.
And why do you hesitate to use the term weakness on behalf of the Trump administration? Because what we've heard from President Trump seems to align with what the Kremlin wants from ending the war in Ukraine. And we've been reporting that that must have come as some surprise to Volodymyr Zelenskyy.
Well, weakness in terms of being the world leader for morals, for ethics, for diplomacy. When you tell people that Zelenskyy is a dictator, that he steals U.S. taxpayers' dollars, that Ukraine could someday be part of Russia, and forcing Zelenskyy to have elections when there's no way elections can be held during wartime, that to me is weakness. And, you know, it saddens me and many, many others, because we know very well that dictators from Caracas to, of course, the Kremlin, Beijing, Pyongyang, Tehran are looking at this very carefully and saying, maybe there aren't any solid red lines anymore enforced by the United States and we can do what we like. So it almost seems, Errol, that, you know, the rules-based international order is in a free fall because of that.
And we've got just under a minute left with you, Michael, but you're in Odessa. This is a key port city. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in day-to-day life in the time that you've been there?
Sure, very quickly. Well, I mean, you know, a lot of Ukrainians tell me they're fatigued, but they use this Ukrainian word nezlamnosti, which means invincibility, is that there's no way they're going to accept Russian occupation. But, you know, having said that, you know, with the nightly air raid alarms, with the way the economy is, a lot of movers and shakers have left Odessa. It's sad to see that happen. The other thing, quickly, is you mentioned the USAID funding cutbacks. That has really impacted Ukraine. It was the #1 recipient since the start of the war, $35 billion. East Europe Foundation, which I'm familiar with, they've had to basically reevaluate whether they're going to, you know, build bomb shelters for schools, mine awareness training, that sort of thing. So it's a very sad time, but the hope is still there that they can fight back.
Michael Bosicki, we appreciate you connecting with us and giving us some of your insight there from Odessa just past 2:13 in the afternoon. Thank you, Michael.